And that was Dury. Dury Music? Are they just Dury? They're just Dury. With Who's Laughing Now. They're doing great. They're doing some great stuff, all kind of organically. I think they probably did like a TikTok blow up, and I think that's probably a good spot to jump back in here with, you know, how do you feel about this kind of indie Wild West of marketing with TikTok and, you know, social media plus shows plus, I don't know, all the different avenues that can make or break a band at this point, you know?
I mean, I was just talking to someone about this at length today, and I feel like it's the same as it always has been. I mean, back in the day, before there was social media, you know, you took out an ad in Maximum Rock and Roll or, you know, The Big Takeover, or, you know, there was always like a thing that you had to do to try to reach fans. And then it was like, you know, flyering your town or flyering, you know, around, you know, around where the show is, going to the venue, putting up a poster. I mean, there's always been like a work that has to be done around a performance or a release or whatever. You know, when I was on Epic Records, it was like, you know, they didn't take a shit without, you know, like 6 months of planning. Right. And so, you know, I already kind of understand that. I guess the problem is like whether or not it's worth it. You know, when you're on a major record label and they're like, we need you to do X, Y, and Z, and then usually you go, okay, I'll do X and Z, but I'm not going to do Y. And they're like, okay, fine. You know, you already know that there's going to be a return because they've already invested into your band, either, you know, paid for your record to be made, paid for you to go on tour or whatever, or gave you an advance. So you're kind of already in the deal. So it feels like obligatory that you would do what they ask within reason. So with these other things, the problem I have with it is that you don't really know if it's going to yield any returns. You're only doing it, I mean, me anyway, and probably a lot of people that I know, you're only really on them because you're using them as marketing tools for your brand or your band or whatever. And there's no guarantee that it's going to work. In fact, the algorithms of insert social media platform here are often working against you getting your content to the people that even want to see it because they want to monetize that exchange. And that's fine. But the problem is that I just feel like, you know, there's so much content and most of it is not at a premium that it almost feels like when we put out an ad on social media, we get more blocks than follows, you know?
Yeah, that's the line that you have to kind of straddle is like be present enough so that they don't forget about you, but not too present where you annoy them and they just mute you. Yeah.
It's kind of funny because when I talk to people who don't know much about, you know, on our side of things, and they're like, oh, I hate ads. And you're like, you do realize that we actually have to pay for ads so that the content that we create that you have already signed up to see via liking us or following us, that we have to pay for that. So that's a lot of times when people are like, I don't like ads, it's like, well, I think you just mean that conceptually. You don't actually, you know, like, what are you talking about? Like, this is the way that it works, you know? So I guess in total, I just kind of feel like it's just part of the job, depending on what part of what you do. And also, there's plenty of bands that never took out an ad in Maximum Rock and Roll, never did any of those flyering, and, you know, still sold out shows. So it really just depends on what you're, you know, what you're, you know, what you can stomach.
Right. Yeah. Right. And I think that's part of it is kind of figuring out what your brand identity is and like how you want to approach it, what your angle is.
Yeah.
For instance, I did notice on upcoming shows for Broken Baby is Jam in the Van.
Yep.
So I don't know if you want to talk about that. You said it's more of a performance. It's not necessarily like the video side of it. It's like a show at their space.
Right. We're not doing the show. It's a show at their space, but it's just not a live taping whole thing. Mm-hmm. Which I'm not totally convinced that those things are. It's a lot of work for a band to go into a foreign environment and set up to have the show recorded, and then mixed and then released. You know, bands prepare to go record records for sometimes years. They'll play these songs on the road for years, or they will, you know, rehearse them forever and then go on tour. Or, there's a lot of there's a lot of intention that is put into the recording of that music. So I have a big problem re-recording my music without being at the helm, you know, because with Broken Baby,
yeah, man.
With Broken Baby, as with the Damnwells, but to a lesser degree, but certainly with Broken Baby, I'm producing and mixing this. So, I have intimate knowledge as to, what plugins are on what tracks. And,
sure. Oh, yeah, for sure. And again, not to cut you off, but that's kind of the nature of the beast at this point anyway, is to wear those multiple hats of like, you're not only a guitar player in a band or a songwriter, you're also an engineer, producer, and, marketing person, and, whatever logistical title you need to have to describe everything that it takes to be in a band.
Right.
And then when it comes to them playing it live, I get that. I get being the control person and then being like, oh, you just want to let it hang and that's it?
Right.
That's it? I get no say in how that is. I always wondered like what that is like for Audio Tree or like those types of publications and stuff. Like, is the band sitting there with them in post? Like, hey, can you tune that up? Can you do multiple takes?
Right.
I know we did a live session when the pandemic hit and we weren't doing shows. We're like, well, let's hunker down in our studio and do like our set, but film it. And I mean, that was a huge undertaking, and we rehearsed like crazy beforehand.
Yeah.
We did multiple takes of each song, and then we comped the best parts. And it was a big undertaking. I'm happy with the final product, but like, yeah, I wouldn't trust anyone else to do all of that work.
And I'm not saying that the Jam and the Van people or the Audio Tree people are incompetent. I mean, even KEXP does great online live performances. Yeah. I think it's just I would need to be assured that I'm allowed to have final say.
Sure.
The Damwells did a thing with Yahoo many, many years ago where they wanted to come into this venue in Boston and do the same thing, live video, live audio. And at first I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And it was also like after the Damwells, like this is when we were like not on a label, like doing our own thing, just kind of doing a tour. We weren't like, trying to become anything. What we were already happened and now we're past it. And anyway.
Yeah, you're just working at that point.
Right. We're just playing shows. And so I said no, and then our manager was like, look, like you should really do this thing, and, they'll make sure it sounds good. And I was like, okay, fine. So they came, and they did it, and they sent over the first, like, mix of it, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, this is like you basically turned up one mic on the drum, the guitar amp is turned up all the way, the vocals are drowned, it was just like a nightmare, and I was like, and I just emailed them, and I was like, this is so far from being acceptable that we just have to bail on it. Wow. And then there was like all this back and forth where they were like, oh, well, we'll do another tape, we'll do another, mix or whatever. And eventually it did come out and it sounds fine, but it was just, and also just knowing that you're being recorded, like, I'm here to perform. I'm not here to be recorded. You know what I mean? If I'm here to be recorded, then I understand that conceptually, so I'll go do that, which is like Jam in the Van or Audio Tree or whatever. So I feel like there's a better chance that it would sound good, but I just always worry about that.
No, it sounds like you have a little bit of PTSD from a horrible experience.
Yeah.
So that's understandable. It's okay. Yeah. We can work through that.
Yeah.
No, this is all really good stuff, man. I guess we don't really have to get into the nitty gritty of like the, giant monster, which is Spotify eating up everyone's lunch. Right. I think we all kind of know that. I think the main gripe, and there's a debate about censorship and like whether or not this platform should be the arbiter of, I don't know, Roganism. Right. And like, you know what I mean? Like I think ultimately what it comes down to is like us indie artists of the 40,000 records that are being uploaded to Spotify every day, we just want a fair shake, man. And like at this point they're looking at reducing the royalties that are already small. Yeah. Yet you're giving 100 to 200,000 to rogues. Right. So I don't know, man. So it's just a weird thing, and I don't know what there is to do, like the whole mass exodus from Spotify. Like, is that, oh, you're gonna stick it to them, huh? You're gonna they'll be fine without your album on Spotify. Right. However, you got someone, and even just to kind of touch base into like comedy, David Cross just put out his new special, but it's exclusive on his website. You download it for $10 from him and you rent it or whatever. I think that's a model that could be replicated, but again, it's like you still need to build your fan base to go do that and do all that. So I don't know, but also like Damwells were one of the first crowd-funded kind of, didn't you guys do like a crowd-funded album type of deal? Like that was really kind of revolutionary at the time when you did that, right?
We were one of the first bands on Pledge Music to do it. Yeah, I mean, I think other bands were doing it in different ways, but we were definitely one of the first ones on Pledge Music to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I just think it's really interesting the different ways that if you're a young, scrappy band, the different avenues you have now. I mean, all the way down to the fact that we all have recording studios in our fucking phones now.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's
I know.
So
it's true.
Yeah, but dude, I can't thank you enough for taking the time to just shoot the shit with us, talk shop.
Oh my God, yeah.
This is wonderful. So, and again, even just the idea of having access to more guests simply because I'm doing it virtually now is wonderful. So,
that changes everything.
But keep doing what you're doing. Broken Baby, Late Stage Optimism. Go listen to it. I'm going to put up your socials right
Thanks,
here.
dude.
Here's Alex Dezen's socials as well as Broken Baby. Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend. Happy Friday. And this has been the Instigator Hour.
Thanks, man.
The Instigator Hour.